Singapore is considering new laws aimed at pirate websites that blatantly infringe copyright. Responding to queries from Channel News Asia, the Law Ministry said that it has taken note of industry concerns over prevalent online piracy affecting Singapore's creative industries. The ministry will undertake a public consultation soon on the proposed approach. Industry players we spoke with say that one way could be to block sites which profit from pirated content. Here's Imelda Saad with more in this week's Spotlight.
High-speed internet, attractive ISP packages with unlimited downloads, and almost everyone owning a smartphone. This makes Singapore a potential hotbed for digital piracy. A recent study showed that about 6 in 10 Singaporeans have participated in movie or music piracy at some point. Half are still doing it. The problem is even more prevalent among youths. 7 in 10 of those between 16 and 18 years old, and 3/4 of those between 19 and 24 years old say they actively download or stream pirated music, movies or TV shows. And it's not because they don't know it's illegal. Anti-piracy campaigns here have certainly raised awareness. Nearly 7 in 10 of active online pirates do equate what they're doing to stealing. But education hasn't been so effective in changing behavior.
It's free, it's easy to access. When if you want something, you will go get it. You can get it within less than a minute. Yeah, and within 15 minutes you can be watching it. So why not?
That's a 23-year-old who claims to have been doing it since he was 11. A look into his computer showed 22 days worth of illegally downloaded music files and hundreds of movies. He doesn't see anything wrong in what he's doing because he says he still pays money for original content.
I find that it's like 20% wrong, but 80% is nothing wrong. Why? Share the love, man.
But the losses to the creative industry, Singapore's music recording industry, for example, is now valued at just $16.5 million. That's less than 1/5 of what it was back in 1997.
I think the Asian music industry in particular is going to be really affected, and I think in the long term, our music culture will be affected. You know, you're just going to listen to a lot of foreign music because right now there's almost close to no investment in domestic music industry.
Now the thing is, economic arguments don't seem to cut it for youth. Sure, they know the impact of their action on the music and film industry, but observers say that's far removed from their personal experience of having access to something so convenient, so fast and free. So what needs to change? Well, observers say make legal sites accessible and make it harder for people to access illegal content. And one way of doing that is through site blocking.
Site blocking is already employed in certain jurisdictions. In the UK, for example, laws are in place requiring ISPs to block nearly 30 websites believed to be linked to pirated content. They include the infamous Pirate Bay and other torrent sites such as Torrent Crazy and Torrent Hound. Legal experts here say site blocking would be useful.
A lot of these sites are located outside of Singapore. And you can't, for example, keep on filing complaints with the judicial authorities in that country. You may not even necessarily know where that site is actually managed from.
The question is how to decide which sites to block and who makes the decision.
One way, of course, is to say, well, I'm not going to block any site until somebody, the rights owner or some concerned citizen or whoever it is, makes a complaint to say that, there are illegal material being available at that site, and therefore you ought to block it. The other alternative is to say that you create a online police force that goes out and looks and then determines that, I think this site ought to be blocked or that site ought to be blocked.
He says any law to block sites would likely come under amendments to the Copyright Act. But site blocking may not stop online pirates.
There's so many ways to work around it. There's going to be proxies, there's going to be, more and more. They're just going to sprout out. They're like hydras, you see. You kill one hit, 2 will come out. You just keep on going. Keep on growing and growing.
Experts, though, say such a move will at least make access that much harder for most people.
The reality is one of the key drivers for them accessing pirated content in the first place is that it's so easy to come across. If it becomes more difficult to access, then it's human nature that a lot of people will give up. They can't be bothered. They can't be bothered to spend half an hour, 45 minutes looking for something that previously they could have found immediately.
Now, interestingly, online pirates in Singapore seem to support tougher regulations. Sycamore research showed that more than half of respondents say there should be stricter rules to prevent people from downloading and streaming pirated content. And the same proportion of active online pirates also say they support site blocking.
Beyond regulation, observers say the industry too needs to step up to meet the demands of today's consumer. Rewind Networks is a Singapore startup which offers legal streaming of popular TV hits without consumers having to pay for its service. Why? Because it's partnered with cable TV operators StarHub. Its CEO says the idea is to target the mass market and provide accessible content for nothing extra.
If it's not available legitimately in any part of the mass ecosystem, then there's a problem. So our first point was to make it available in the basic entertainment channel lineup that StarHub had. Is that enough? No, because we are talking about online piracy. So we then start looking at how can we make it available easily to people who want to access it on multiple devices on TV anyway. The first point was to make sure that we get the rights for simulcast streaming of the channel to any device. Authenticated to an existing subscriber who's already paying for a service and for no extra fee, making it available to them.
The music industry already has legal alternatives such as Spotify, SoundOwl and Deezer, but that hasn't gained much traction among internet users. Observers say it's a whole ecosystem that needs to work, even getting search engines to modify the way they mine data.
Most of us, we're searching for something we key in, right? We click on the first few things that appear. Now, unfortunately today, when you key in, a hit song, you end up with a link to a pirate site, right? And that's something that the industry has been working on for quite a few years now, trying to persuade search engines that, please, you have a responsibility, you're making a lot of things available, you're connecting people.
Now, one big issue is, of course, content. Making sure that content is put up quickly on legal sites, making it affordable and accessible. Because so long as consumers don't get what they want, they will look elsewhere. So industry players will need to up their game if they want to put a real dent on the online pirate business.